Today we're going to talk about conjunctions. When you have two closely related independent clauses, you can join them with a semicolon, some kind of transitional device, or a comma and a conjunction. There are 7 conjunctions to remember. They are for and nor, but or, yet so. To help you remember them, take the first letter of each word and you get fanboys. A conjunction, like a transitional device, usually guides us from one independent clause to the next. The conjunction for typically creates some kind of effect and cause relationship between the two independent clauses. The conjunction and usually adds on to some idea created in the first independent clause. When you see the conjunction nor, expect some kind of negativity to either be built or added onto from the first independent clause. The conjunction but is the contradictory conjunction. Expect some kind of contradiction. The conjunction or is a sentence that is usually very indecisive. The yet conjunction can also be a contradiction, but also tends to ramble on a little bit. And the conjunction so typically creates a cause and effect relationship. So is pretty much the opposite of the for conjunction. Now here are some examples of these conjunctions in action. I am tired, for I was up late playing video games last night. There was an urgent mission, and it took longer than I expected. We should not do any work today, nor should there be any homework tonight. I will do my best to stay awake in class, but I can make no promises. I could go to the clinic, or you could just let me put my head down. This must sound like a pretty pathetic excuse, yet it is a really good game. I was up playing video games last night, so I am tired. As you can see, the first and the last sentence are pretty much opposites. In the first sentence, I am tired for I was up late playing video games last night, we get the effect first and then the cause. In the last one, we get the cause first, I was up late playing video games last night, and the effect second, I am tired. So let's take a little quiz. Which conjunction would work best in each of the following situations? The boy was late to class. The teacher told him to see her after school. Here we would probably use the conjunction so. He said he would come. He did not show up after school. That sounds like a contradiction, so but. He sat smugly in his seat the next day. Well, that's not good. He refused to do his assignments. Well, we're building on an idea from the first independent clause, so and. The teacher had no choice but to call his mother. He was being rude. Well, here we would probably use the conjunction for. His mother told him to either apologize. He would be grounded for a month. Here we would use or. He did not want to apologize. He did not want to live a sad, lonely existence at home. Here we should use yet, but we could also use but. It did not seem like he had many options. Did it seem fair? That last independent clause got a little mixed up. We'll talk about that in a moment. But here we should use nor. There's often more than one answer, but the conjunctions above connect the idea from the first independent clause to the second independent clause. Now, when you use certain conjunctions to join independent clauses, sometimes the syntactic slots will move around a bit. The actors and the actions, the answers might get mixed up. In these 3 sentences, there are no surprises. Basically, everything follows the typical actor, action, answer order. However, with the conjunctions but and yet, things start to move around a little bit sometimes. Those syntactic slots start to wander. And we've talked about this. We know it happens. Just be aware that it happens a little more often when you're playing around with conjunctions. You probably wouldn't say, he did show not up after school. Instead, you're going to say, he did not show up after school. The answer interrupts the verb phrase did show. And again, you wouldn't say, he did want not to apologize. You're going to say, he did not want to apologize. And he did not want to live a sad, lonely existence at home. So just be aware that sometimes when you're using conjunctions, the syntactic slots tend to wander a little bit. And with the conjunctions or and nor in particular, you're going to see some really odd things start to occur. You're still going to have your actors, your actions, and your answers, but when you use the conjunction or, a lot of times the word either will pop up in the first independent clause. And with the conjunction nor, a lot of times you're going to get the word not or neither in the first independent clause, interrupting the verb phrase. And then in the second independent clause, it's really going to get out of order. It's really going to get inverted. In this case, the actor interrupts the action. The actor is it, and the action is an action phrase, did seem, and how did it seem? Fair. But you wouldn't say, it did not seem like you had many options, nor it did seem fair. We naturally invert that second independent clause. Just be aware that that's what's happening. It's kind of creating this question effect. Now, one of our goals as writers should always be to vary our sentence structures as much as possible. We can build all sorts of complex sentences because we know how to add words, phrases, and dependent clauses onto foundational clauses. But even if you stay with very simple sentence structures and you mix them up, that will add a lot of variety to your writing and a lot of rhythm to your writing. So let's start with a very simple sentence. It was a dark and scary night. Dave and I were watching television on the couch. All of a sudden, the power went out. Dave decided to go explore the source of the outage. That's when I heard something scratching the window behind me. I turned around to look, but no one was there. Now, as you can see, this is a very basic paragraph. These are very basic sentences. We didn't use a whole lot of external phrases or external dependent clauses or colons or em dashes. But simply by varying the sentence structures, that added variety to the paragraph itself, and that created rhythm. The paragraph reads, "It was a dark and scary night. Dave and I were watching television on the couch. All of a sudden, the power went out. Dave decided to go explore the source of the outage. That's when I heard something scratching the window behind me. I turned around to look, but no one was there." Now, I wouldn't exactly brag about this paragraph. I'm not saying it's literature by any stretch, but it is just a sample of what you can do when you vary your sentence structures. So I hope you've enjoyed these lessons, and I hope you always remember that when you decide to build complex sentences, don't forget the foundation of all writing. It's the foundational clause, the independent clause. Never forget the AAA, and you should be all right. So once again, everybody, thanks for joining me, and I hope you learned a whole lot. I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye.